It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
And we're back yet again for another cup of coffee from Slumberland at the Lake. I'm Wild Will.
I'm Uncle Chris.
And another good one this week. We're going to have Denny Heiner with the Lake of the Ozarks Idiots Club. You hear that name, you're like, what are those bunch of idiots up to now?
Yeah, it's a strange name, the Idiots Club, right? That you'd think that would be our club.
Yeah, that is our club. We'll tell you all about their organization, and Denny will tell us about their upcoming fundraising events. Plus, we're going to follow up on last week's expose. We talked about the audio exchange at the last Camden County Commissioners meeting between Commissioner Gohagan and Sheriff Tony Helms. We're also excited to find out Lake of the Ozarks in the running for the best recreational lake in the country yet again.
Yeah, and I think in the lead, right now.
Currently in the lead. We're going to tell you how you can help Lake secure that title once again, plus ongoing safety concerns from School of the Osage. You saw a couple of days where there was no school last week, so we talked with the district, we talked with local law enforcement agencies, and we'll update you on that and a whole lot more when we return to Cup of Coffee. We're going to have Denny Heiner with the Lake of the Ozarks Idiots Club, but first, Slumberland's got a crazy Memorial Day sale. I saw the insert. Oh my goodness, Chris, you buy this, you get that. They got mattress deals, bed deals, all kinds of deals.
You got a big tent out in the parking lot. It's
Indeed.
Huge.
To tell us more, my man, Daryl Cunningham.
Hey everybody, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. We have our Memorial Day sale going on right now. What does that mean for you? It means huge savings for every room of your house. We've got mattresses on great deals, sofas, recliners, outdoor furniture. Come check it all out at Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
And to get this week's cup of coffee started, I'm joined by my good buddy Denny Heiner, who's with the Lake of the Ozarks Idiots Club. And Denny, it's been a while, my friend.
Yes, it has.
It's always great to get together to talk about you bunch of idiots down here at the lake. So tell us a little bit for people out there.
Okay.
They say the Idiots Club. That's an awful funny name. So tell us, what is the Lake of the Ozarks Idiots Club?
Well, we are a 501c3 charity, and my wife Dana and I started this 9 years ago in 2014. And in 13, I had some real serious health issues, and anyway, I spent 40 days in ICU, and they called me the Miracle Man when I left, and so I figured God must have kept me around for some reason other than be a grumpy old retired guy. So we started this charity, and our original goal, we started with Camdenton School District, and we thought if we could raise, $4,000 or $5,000 a year to help some kids, that would be good. My wife and I both retired from the Camdenton district. We saw the kids with duct tape holding their shoes together, kids that couldn't be involved in school activities because they couldn't afford, the football cleats or the basketball shoes or the FFA jacket or whatever it might be. And so we just thought that, we'd get this going and try to help some of those kids. Yeah. And so, it just kind of blew up. Evidently, we're doing something right. People kind of some people frown on the name, but it seems to work. We go to lakefront restaurants in the summertime, to do a lot of our fundraising, and people there have a really good time with, they're out having a good time. And so being an idiot, hey, that kind of fits in with their weekend plans. And so we get last year we had 800 members.
Wow. Hey, tell us your slogan or your guys' tagline, if you will.
The Jesters of Goodwill, dedicated to helping youth in need.
Which is great, because you said started back in 2014, and your first year, you guys hit your fundraising goal of $5,000, correct?
Right.
So let's fast forward to this year, knowing about 9-10 years ago that was your goal. How much money has the Lake of the Ozarks Idiots Club given away this calendar school year?
Well, we have actually spent on children $215,000, little over $215,000.
Just this school year?
Just this fiscal year.
So people have an idea of some of the bigger efforts and that this money goes to and this organization supports. Tell us some of those.
Well, we've got 5 main areas. We do a lot of new back-to-school clothes. That's probably the majority of where our money goes. We also spent a little over something like $22,000 this year on dual credit scholarships for kids that want to take college credit classes in high school to get a head start on college but can't afford that. So we've done that. We also spent around $23,000 on weekend food. We call it the Buddy Pack program. And this is for kids in grades 7 through 12 that don't get it, weekend food through the food bank. And so then we do just a lot of other types of things. Another big area is sports equipment, school activities, the FFA jackets, the dress clothes for debate club, the band trips, the choir trips that kids can't afford to pay for, any kind of sports equipment.
Let me ask real quick, because so you and Dana, you guys had worked in schools for so long and you guys had seen some of this. Talk about some of the things that you saw in the classroom that maybe not always a need that would scream out or people might know about, but something you guys saw and caused you to act.
Well, Dana worked at Horizons, which is the Camdenton's alternative high school. And, she had kids that were living on their own, some of them living in their cars, working full-time, going to school full-time. And, they would have breakdowns. Their cars would break down. Well, for those kids, that's a major catastrophe for them, because not only do they sleep in it, but they got to use it for school and work and everything else. So we do car repairs. We've replaced transmissions. We've actually bought 6 cars for kids in extreme situations that just had no support. And then there's just so many little things, like the child that wants to, one that comes to mind, we had a boy at Cadby that his mom wanted to play soccer. Mom just could not afford that. And so we provided the cleats, the shin guards, the knee guards, and the ball, and all of those things so he could be involved in that. So there's just all kinds of little things that, one comes to mind. We had some volunteers that went through the drive-up at McDonald's, and the kid that was working there saw their shirts. They had their Idiot Club shirts on, and he said, "Oh, you guys helped me with a notebook." And he said, "You will never know how much that meant to me at that time." And, when our volunteers shared that with Dana and I, it was like a notebook.
You just never know.
No. Some little thing that cost maybe $5, $8, but in that kid's life at that time,
absolutely,
it meant so much to them.
And that will give you guys an idea of just some of the efforts behind the Lake of the Ozarks Idiots Club. Now, you guys have your kickoff coming up this weekend, I believe, from 3 to 6 at First Watch. And this is a great event to come and find out more about the Idiots Club, find out how you can volunteer, put your treasure to work. And is there anything else you want to plug as far as this event coming up Saturday?
Well, we just, there is a need to tell, because this is an after event for First Watch. They normally close at 2:30. So they're going to open up again at 3. So there is a $10 cash admission charge because their normal electronic pay system will be down at 2:30. So there is a $10 cash admission charge. With that, you get free food. We had some entertainment planned, but that kind of fell through here last week. But anyway, we've got some guest speakers that are going to come in from the schools and from some of the social agencies that we work with to share how we've helped them and their kids. And we'll be telling about the background of the history of the charity, how we operate, what volunteer opportunities there are.
And I would guess, Danny, there's probably a website or a Facebook page that you guys keep pretty up with.
Yes, we have our webpage, which is www.lakeoftheozarksidiotsclub.org. We're also on Facebook page, Lake of the Ozarks Idiots Club, and there we post, every time we help a child, we have a little description of what we do and what we provided and that sort of thing, who made the request and that sort of thing. So we've got a great group of partners in the schools that kind of do the screening for us, make sure that our funds are being used wisely.
So May 20th, come on out and support the Lake of the Ozarks Idiots Club. Denny, I'm so thankful for all your guys' work, and I know you guys are getting ready to celebrate $1 million, so we'll have to have you back on so you can talk more about that, okay?
Right, you bet.
Thank you, my friend, for your time. We'll be back with the rest of Cup of Coffee after this.
Hey, you've got to join us for Lake TV's Community Spotlight Show this week, brought to you by the great folks at COMC, Central Ozarks Medical Center. We're talking about local history with the ladies from the Camden County Museum. It's Daphne Jeffries, Noreen Albers, and they've got so much wonderful history. So we'll talk about Climax Springs, Max Creek, and a lot of the towns that were lost under the lake. Join us. It's the Community Spotlight Show. And welcome back to A Cup of Coffee. Wild Will, Uncle Chris. Love that Denny Heiner. He is just greatness. Almost $1 million now given away for the Idiots Club.
By the time this airs, that might already have happened.
Yeah, might have hit that already. Okay, so last week, another huge show. You did a big expose. There was a big recent blow up in the Camden County Commissioners meeting. The sheriff, one of the commissioners, boy, you really nailed it. You hit it on the head. We had huge response to that. What was the response to your expose last week?
Really, I mean, it was positive. I think we shed some light on some bigger issues. It wasn't just about the blow up in the county commission meeting. And if you haven't watched, we encourage you to go back. I haven't heard back from Sheriff Helms. I have reached out numerous times. I've even invited him to join me this week on the show, and nothing. And I would imagine they've probably got their hands full with county business and other things going on. And let's be honest, I mean, the climate of law enforcement and what they do every day is hard enough, especially with the lack of trust. And that's kind of the whole point here behind why we would do this. I mean, with everything we've got going on in the world, Chris, I mean, the division's at an all-time high. We're seeing scary situations from school. I mean, we got a story coming up, about threats to a local school district getting closer and closer to home. You've got the transgender and woke agenda and the cancel culture and all the things going on that everyone just doesn't know. So much confusion. You've got the border crisis. You've got our president's in shambles. You see things from reports that aren't even being talked about. What exactly is going on? And it brings me back to, as a kid, every one of us as a child kind of had a dream, right? Something we wanted to be when we got older. And as a kid, you just kind of believe that as you become an adult, as people go into business, owning business, becoming bankers, becoming lawyers, becoming judges, police officers, first responders, military, whatever it is that they choose, that they do what's right and they do what's honest. You just kind of have that understanding as a child. As you grow, you start to see the reality of the situation, and with so much going on in the world, you want to think you can trust your local guys, your local elected officials. And so why would we go on? Why would William go on with a 20-minute expose on a former chief that's no longer in this municipality? Why would I shed light on why ties to Chris Twitchell from our sheriff may be an issue? Because here's what I know. To get change, you need the voters to turn out. And we've noticed historically in our county, we are a low voter turnout in our county. And so the reason being, Chris, people are busy, people are stressed, people are scared. They're now programmed more than ever before to add more to their schedule, to try to be more, to try to earn more, to try to look better. every single thing they try to do pulls them away from being able to slow down and take the time and get involved. So unless you see enough things that scare you, that worry you, that make you question, wait, are our elected officials doing what they should be for us? Because let's make no mistakes about it, that your elected officials, your law enforcement officers are public servants. And I know in 2023, with the conservatives and the liberals, that conservatives don't like to hear the fight against law enforcement. I'm the first to want to back the blue, but the fact remains, Chris, that if you can't trust them, who can you trust? And so when you tell them you're a public servant, what that means is we elected you or you're hired and you're paid on tax dollars. People work in this county and part of their revenue goes to pay their salaries, cover road and bridge, pay for 911 services, pay for police officers, pay for the people in our community who have less than, but we're called to be good stewards. So if you're working your tail off and whatever percentage is going to your local authorities so they can keep up with the county and provide the things that we need being part of this community, we ought to make sure that they're doing it right, not wasting a lot of money, not doing things to serve self. And that's the question I'm asking. I'm not saying it is, but where there is this much smoke, there is typically fire. And if these are the individuals that we're electing to speak for us, the taxpayers, the constituents, the community, do we believe that they're going to do what we need and want them to do? Because that's what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to represent the larger percentage of their constituents. And up to this point in time, publicly, they might be. And a lot of what I heard negative, Chris, was, William, this doesn't look good for our county. And so my question to those individuals, is it all about optics? And if it is about optics, at what cost? Is it okay if it looks like we're doing things right and there's not divisiveness and there's not problems and there's not concerns and there's not corruption, so long as we appear to be good? So what happens when behind closed doors there is those things? I think you can look at Camden County right now and you can look at the litigation. You can look at how likely is it that our county is insurable, and you can look at the individuals who have been victimized and whose livelihood has been changed. And so here's what I want to say to end this. I don't want to attack anybody else because I too have been a flawed man historically. Now, the difference is I'm not an elected official. I'm not getting paid on taxpayer dollar. However, you don't know when things really, really changed for me, Chris? When I met Jesus. And I don't just mean my whole life I've only known about Jesus. I've heard other people talk about him. I've seen great songs about him. I've attended churches and I've known about him. But once I met him, it's impossible to stay the same. Yeah. It's no longer the same individual that I used to be because it's not who I'm called to be. And so whoever's out there, whoever's watching right now, whether you're an elected official, whether you're an educator, whether you're a mother or father, I just ask you, who did you want to be when you were little? Because I do know that it is never, ever too late to start becoming the version of you that you once wanted to be. Because these are serious issues. These are serious issues that we're facing. It's not clickbait, it's not headlines, it's real things, and we have to solve them with truth and a pursuit for what is right. And that's it for me. And so I ask whoever's watching, who did you want to be when you were a little boy or a little girl? And I want to tell you, it's never too late to start becoming that person today. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that.
That's beautiful. So I'm sure there will be more to come on the story, all of that stuff, and nobody better than you to stay on top of all of that. But we do live in an upside down world right now, don't we? I mean, locally a little bit, nationally big time.
Nationally, it's unbelievable what's going on.
It really is, yeah. I mean, and it is some pretty scary times, absolutely. So we'll try to be honest about that, and upfront with everything we see and do and everything, and so keep on watching Cup of Coffee.
I mean, because really, Cup of Coffee is the only place where you and I don't fear losing our jobs for saying what we feel in our heart is true and is right.
I think what we're doing on A Cup of Coffee is what the media is supposed to be doing a free media in the United States is supposed to be open and honest about everything. Shouldn't be trying to carry the water for one political side or the other political side, or covering up facts and all this stuff, which is happening in our country right now. A free media is supposed to be keeping everybody honest, and bringing up the issues that need to be brought up and talked about and made public. And that's what we do. And it's unfortunately, it's rare in our country today for the media to do that.
And it's because what we do is under attack. It's censored. Free speech is the most infringed upon constitutional right that we're seeing infringed, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Google.
And I never thought we would get there. When I was growing up as a kid, free speech was like a given. That was like nobody, tried to come against that. Now it's under massive attack right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And because even when we put this out, you'll see on Facebook last week's expose had been shared so many times, but if you look at those shares, no engagement. And it's like, you're not paying to play. They want you to pay. And if they don't like what you have to say, we're talking about serious stuff that we've covered over the last 2 years, from like regional and the ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and the COVID epidemic. That stuff was shut down. Going after so all of that stuff, we're seeing that censorship, and that to me is dangerous. Even if what you feel in your heart is wrong, to not be able to voice that and then be proven that you're wrong, it's a dangerous place we're currently going.
At the facts that we found out about Twitter when they changed ownership, that Twitter had been playing for one political side during the election and shutting out and shutting off the other side. That is totally against our Constitution and free speech, but that's normal in our society
and
today,
even if
that's sad.
Even if it's the opposing view and you don't like it and you think it's gobbledygook, they should be able to say it.
Yeah.
They should be able to voice their opinions and not be censored or not be fact-checked, because, what is fact-checking anyway?
And you saw this exact same stuff in Germany as Adolf Hitler came to power. You saw the exact same stuff. Taking over the media, hardball tactics, going against the Constitution.
And it was a slow game.
It was. Yeah, it took several years for
before
that.
People realized. They thought it was kind of easy going. It was never going to happen. And before long, it was war.
Just like that.
All right, so a couple other big stories. Back in 2015, USA Today, they have a 10 best readers poll they put out, and they had put out best recreational lake in the country. Well, Lake of the Ozarks was voted the best back in 2015, and it's now time for the Lake of the Ozarks to defend their title. So if you go to Lake TV's Facebook page, you can check out the poll. We've got the post up, and currently, right now, Lake of the Ozarks in the lead, Lake Havasu 2, Lake Champion 3, Lake Superior 4, and Lake Tahoe 5. And so this voting is through June 5th, so you still have some time, and the winners are going to be announced Friday, June 16th. And if you're curious, back in 2015 with the lake taking it, did you see the other top 5 lakes?
Just the ones on this list, Havasu,
which is
Champlain, Superior, and Tahoe.
So it's interesting. Big Bear Lake was number 2 back then. I don't see it in the top 5 right now.
It's in 6th.
Okay, how about, you're going to have to enunciate that one for me.
With
West Okoboji.
That one, I don't know what that is.
Lake
that's
in Iowa.
Yeah.
Is that right, Andy? Yeah, we worked on this. Okoboji, that's good. Lake Cumberland in Kentucky, and Lake Tahoe, which finished 5th, is currently in 5th. But listen, till June 5th you can vote.
Yeah.
Help Lake of the Ozarks be revoted and hold that crown. That's a huge deal, because as you promote Lake of the Ozarks, as our TCLA and CVB push the lake in other states, for people to see, we've heard about the lake, we've seen Ozark, we've seen Lake TV nationally. It's like, what is all the fuss about?
Or do we want to keep it quiet so we can keep our lake, man?
No, you old phony. Come on. Change is good. Don't be that guy that says, no, let's keep it a secret. I want my cove quiet. I want to be able to fish off my dock on Saturday morning at Memorial Day weekend. Change is good, Chris, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so in a serious story, you saw what happened last week with the school district of Osage. There was a threat and there was some canceling. So I talked with Corey Tenyes, who's the District of Osage's communications director, and he said it was good for them to get some clarity on Friday. And I want to make clear kind of a timeline of what happened. On Wednesday, May 10th, there were two separate instances. There was a threat which they then were not able to substantiate and realize was kind of a viral hoax nationally.
Right.
And then later, Wednesday evening, there was an actual threat that named the District of Osage and had a photo of a gun. And at that point in time, they got local authorities who were already involved in the first threat, and they had made the recommendation to the school district that they cancel Thursday and Friday. That way they could investigate and make sure everything was cleared. And so the investigation with local authorities was complete, and they announced on Saturday, they announced a press release from Chief Davis, plus the statement from the Osage District they sent to families reads, "Dear School of the Osage Families, the Osage Beach Police Department has let us know that they've concluded it is safe for us to safely resume normal operating procedures. For additional specifics, please see their press release, the one from the 12th. You can see it there right now on your screen. And it was regarding the recent threat against School of the Osage. In light of this information, we're confidently returning to our schools for instruction and activities. Extended learning will be open starting on Monday, which was this last Monday, and then they resumed in-person classes Tuesday. They went on to say, we are deeply grateful for the excellent work of our local, state, and federal authorities, that what they've done these last few days. They have prioritized the safety of our schools and community in ways great and small. We look forward to seeing you next week as we work together to help our students finish the school year strong." And that's Corey Tenyes, the Director of Communications and Safety with the District of Osage. And it's just crazy that this is all kind of happening the last couple of weeks, but it's great news that the investigation shows they were able to go back to school. They did do that.
Yeah, and the city of Osage put out a statement on this saying the police department has identified a person of interest in the investigation regarding the threat at the School of the Osage. The person of interest is a juvenile, so no further details regarding this incident can be released. So that tells you a lot right there. If it's a juvenile, it's probably a young person playing some sort of a hoax. That's not just a joke. This is a pretty serious thing. So, but it looks like they've got it figured out.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this is very, very serious. And I can tell you the District of Osage and our local authorities, after speaking with all of them, they take this very seriously. And you got to understand, Chris, that social media is so powerful.
Yeah.
You know, and these young individuals, what it's doing to them is very scary. And so you're going to have more of this stuff moving forward. You've seen that the gun situation has been weaponized in itself as far as a political battle. And in that climate, in that culture, it gives the opportunity for one text, one thing is going to cause a reaction, and it must at this point.
And we've got so much copycat stuff going on. You know, one person does it, it shuts down school for a day, so another kid thinks, hey, that's a great idea, I'm going to do it now. You know,
we saw it in Wentzville. Another local school district had the exact same, like you said, almost copy and pasted, sent to them. And for the school districts, they have to err on the side of caution because we're dealing with kids. But it is scary because of how much power something like that holds. And then if you don't err on the side of caution, heaven forbid something were to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's a scary climate, but I do want to applaud the District of Osage. I do want to applaud our local authorities because they were working around the clock, and there's nothing more important to them than making sure our youth in our school districts are safe. And so really good work by them in this instance.
And the local authorities, and there was a bunch of, everybody was involved in that.
It did look like every single municipality here in the Tri-County region had a hand in that. And it takes a village. So I want to applaud the local authorities for that as well. So as we wrap up this week's Cup of Coffee, want to remind you guys, as you saw the promo, man, that community spotlight, got some great guests, not just on now, but coming up, man. We get to know some of the greatest people at the lake.
Well, and right now we're starting a series with the Camden County Museum, local history, with a couple of the ladies from the museum. And this week we're looking at Max Creek, Climax Springs, and some lost cities from the area. So that'll be fun.
Don't miss it. That's going to do it for this week's Cup of Coffee from Slumberland at the Lake. This is Uncle Chris. I'm Wild Will. Until next week, God bless.